And we're back at the TACP RoundUp. Trent here from Once Ready with maybe my favorite TACP chief I've ever worked with, Jamie here. Man, thanks for coming on.
Fantastic, man. First of all, thanks for being out here, because I know that this is taking time out of your personal time, and this is one of those great functions of what we have going on out here. So at least once a year, we try to get out and have all the TACPs and try to do some kind of reunion, a roundup, whatever we want to call it. But so I absolutely thanks from the bottom of my heart, from the community, because this is exactly what we need to be putting out a positive message and doing stuff so we can get together, making sure that the guys have the understanding that we're all here for each other and being able to share stories, share time, and be able to have all the families get together and do all that stuff. But yeah, absolutely. For those that maybe may or may not know, me and Trent used to work together here at Randolph. Can I say that? I don't know.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's secret, right?
Well, I think Tommy got a hold of my home address, so if I didn't show up here, I wouldn't exist anymore. So
Yeah,
that's
there you go.
So you're I do want to talk about. I know a little bit about your background, and it was a little unusual, and how you got into TACP and what it took for you to become a TACP. And if you wouldn't mind sharing that story real quick.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm originally born in Ecuador, South America. My parents came to live in the United States when I was about 3 years old. Everything's legal, of course. So, like, there was no sneaking around or doing anything crazy. I grew up in Brooklyn for quite some time. I lived there until about I was 10 years old. Then we moved to Philly. Everything was great. I kind of moved around a little bit between my parents. Long story short, I joined the Air Force in late 1999, and I was not a citizen yet. And I joined in with all the pretenses of becoming a citizen and everything. I started the process in early 2000. In 2001, obviously, some things happened. They kind of changed a few perspective of how people view people coming into the country.
Yeah.
And but actually, sorry. So let me back up a little bit. So when I was in basic training, somebody came in and gave a TACP brief, and I was sold at that moment. I went to go try out for TACP at that specific time, and because I wasn't a citizen, they told me they were like, "Hey, beat it, nerd, because you can't do it." So I was like, "All right, I'll be back." So long story short, 9/11 happened. I was a civil engineer troop for the first few years of my career. Nope, absolutely no complaints doing it. I was at Tinker Air Force Base for a few years. That's where I met my wife. So I absolutely have no complaints about that. I was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base doing the Red Horse mission. I became airborne qualified under a CE AFSC. So being able to put in my retraining package once I became a citizen in 2004, it took about 4 years for that to happen. I was able to put in my package as soon as I got everything done. I got picked up in like a matter of 2 weeks. My training date was like 2 weeks later. I drove across country right after coming back from a deployment, and the rest is history, as they say. And yeah, been almost 16 years since, and it's been amazing.
Just gloss over the fact that like you got your training rip super fast.
Yeah.
You drove across the country, and it's not like we like let you like ease into training. It's
Right.
like, boom.
Yeah, it was one of those things that when I tell my retraining story to a lot of people, they're always like, "I hate you," because I literally put it in my package on a Monday. It was approved by Wednesday, and I had to leave at the end of that month. So it was amazing. I was ready, obviously, because that's what I always tell folks. If you're going to retrain, you should be ready. And that's one of the things. When I hit the button, when I did my stuff, I was ready. Sure enough, there wasn't no, well, I need 6 more months so I can pass my IFT or whatever we were calling it back then.
Yeah, we never hear things like that, do we?
Yeah, of course not, right? Because we've never worked in that office that guys need extra 3 years to get ready for a simple IFT, right?
Yeah, I mean it's hard because like I've talked to a fair number of people, and I've seen a lot of retrainings go through. So like when you get that story, you're like, man, like, come on,
Yeah.
like you put in the paperwork. How come you're not ready to go?
You should be ready the minute you put in that paperwork. Actually, honestly, you should be ready when you're thinking about doing it, because as you're going through the process, getting signatures, doing interviews, and really using up resources and like people's time and doing IFTs and doing all that stuff, like you should be ready. Like you should be crushing everything. And if you're not, then you should be really kind of looking at yourself and trying to get ready and doing whatever you have to do. But yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so that was it. I spent about the first 8 years of my career out at Pope Bragg, now known as Liberty, and then and now I'm out at Nellis, out with like Peaches, and having a great time out there. So it's been awesome. Like been out there for about 6 months. So yeah.
Do you ever see Peaches, or is he like in a crowd and you can't see him?
No, like Peaches is always squaring me away. So it's awesome. It's awesome having him there because he's been there obviously a lot longer than I have, and he's extremely familiar with all the stuff that's going on in Nellis. So he's always squaring me away.
You can just call him a busybody. It's fine. I got to go back though. When you got the TACP briefing, what was it?
Man, I've been actually trying to track down who that was. So it would have been probably early October of 1999. So whoever was doing the TACP briefs at that time, hit me up because I want to thank you. But he came in full kit. He literally kicked in the door and was like basically telling me, you are not good enough to do my job, and this is what I do, and I challenge you to come do what I do. And I was like, sold. Got it. That's what I want to do.
You did like the classic, like, you're nothing. You're like dirt on my boot.
Essentially. But it was awesome, and it obviously worked because it was able to keep that motivation, 99 till, almost 7 years later to be able to come back and retrain, because it took me, I started my process of my citizenship in 2000. Didn't get it till probably middle of 2004, and then I put in my package after a deployment in 2007. So how'd the rest of it go? Did it disappoint, or was it everything you hoped it would be? It was everything I hoped it would be. I wish I would have been able to have the opportunity to do it faster or sooner, because I was like a mid-tier staff sergeant. I had sewn on for a couple of years, so by the time I got operational, I was already expected to do 50% operational and 50% admin stuff, because I had that background and I was able to do the Air Force-y things. And so I didn't. I tried to cram in as much as I could in those first probably 5 or 6 years, and then but because I was able to cram in so much operational stuff so short, that got me promoted, of course.
Yeah.
And so
the double-edged sword.
Yeah. So and here we are. So, yeah.
Here we are.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, what is it about TACP? Like, there's a lot of folks here. What is it about your community in particular that brings everybody together like this? You know?
So I would say the biggest thing is we do work hard. We train hard. So when we train hard, we get to spend a lot of time together and be able to do a lot of the getting to know each other and really getting to know our families and spending all those holidays out when you're out doing stuff and doing things, and being able to just have that bond and just that brotherhood, and be able to have the one another to rely on and going through the same things and like pulling each other up from all the things. Honestly, the mission part of it, it's part of the job. We get the job done, but really where we come together is where after the fact, and when guys need to be pulled up and be helped and either held up or as they're going through things, and being able to kind of go through some of those things, because as you progress, I hear it from a lot of other communities where they just don't necessarily care for the airmen, where they're just like, hey, we get it. Your kids are sick and you have this and you have that going on, but we need you to go down range, where we do our best to prevent things like that. Like, I've had a commander tell me, he's like, hey, you are not deployed right now. You have stuff going on. You need to be at home and taking care of business. And I'm like, copy. I will do that.
Well, and it's a little different too, because we don't always deploy as like teams, right?
Right.
Like, we're not ODAs, we're not SEAL teams.
Yeah.
And so we expect our guys to go out there like on their own to do their job. And then like we don't find out what everybody did until we come home.
Yeah.
And you have to have like events like this to share it and be like, kind of put all the strings together.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the things that was actually one of the things that I loved about it, because you get a lot of responsibility and you get a lot of trust. And that's one of the things that a lot of other AFSCs and a lot of other organizations, even in the civilian world, like you don't get that level of trust where you can go out and do what you're trained to do at a certain proficiency level and just come back and be able to tell your story without having somebody constantly on you like, hey, what were you doing on Monday? What were you doing on Tuesday? What were you doing on, like, hey, bro, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's a unique thing about us that I love to bring up, because it's like we call ourselves like team guys, but we're like chameleons. We're all over the place, and we have to bring it back. So, you're getting towards the end of your career. Like, what are you going to do?
I have, you know what? I've probably been asked that about 5 times every hour. And we just got to Nellis about 6 months ago. I literally just hit my 24-year mark, and I really don't see myself doing anything else right now. So I probably have at least another 2 to 3 good years left in me where I still feel that I can make a difference. I still feel that I can lead the airmen. And one of the biggest things that I know operationally, I don't bring anything. Like, I'm done operationally. Like, operationally, I'm the most okayest JTAC. Like, at this point in time. So really what it comes down to is I want to make sure that the guys and gals that we train within the Nellis portfolio is just to make sure that they are confident and capable to do and solve problems for the Air Force and for the Joint Force, and more importantly, for them to be able to come back home. And that's really what I love doing, and that's what I love about what I'm doing right now, because a lot of the training portfolio of what we have encompasses a lot of what we do to train the warfighter for the next generation.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I can tell you, having worked in the office with you and not being the same rank, you do take care of people, and I always appreciate it. So I had to embarrass you real quick. Before we wrap, if you had a young person out there that's thinking about joining, want to be a TACP or special warfare, what's one piece of advice that you would give them?
One piece of advice that I give every single person that approaches me is stop thinking about it and do it. If you've thought about it enough to have a conversation with somebody that's doing that job, then it's time for you to just stop and do it. Stop making excuses. Stop waiting. Stop waiting for that perfect moment that's going to come down that does not exist. It's one of those things where you just have to push the button. You have to make it happen. You have to have the hard conversations with your family first. But once you've had those conversations and you know that this is what you want to do, you just need to make it happen, because every day that you waste is a day that you're either not getting better or you're just not striving to get to that goal. So that would be the one piece of advice that I have for anybody that's interested in anything, is once you've made up your mind, and you're really seeking just validation at that point in time. So just do what you have to do. You know what you have to do. And that's the weird part, is you know exactly what you have to do. You have to contact guys like Trent and on his past office, on One's Ready, your chiefs, my purse, so you can get onto the retraining website. You have to contact that and just get it done, because the longer you wait, the more excuses are going to come up, the more that life is going to hit you. Just one of those things. Take the time, knock it out, get after it.
Yeah. Stop delaying. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's weird how Nike made like a fortune off of that, right?
Right. They stole it from you, I'm pretty sure. Dude, it's good to see you.
Yeah,
brother.
absolutely, brother.
And thanks for coming on here.
Yeah.
And I appreciate everything you're doing for the community.
Awesome, man.
All right.
Appreciate the time.